So how y'all doing today?
We're doing great.
Doing excellent.
Good deal. Well, Chris, I want to thank you for sitting down and doing this. Kind of excited to hear what you have to say about this website that you got. But before we get into that, outside of vaping, what do you like to do?
So I'm a coder by heart, right? So I've been writing code my entire life. I grew up in Southern California and I actually surfed, and then I moved out here to Arizona, and ever since then pretty much been buried in as a software architect and just developing wild software for everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
Right.
I know.
My story's similar as well. Born and raised in Arizona, and went to the Art Institute of Phoenix to be a UI and web developer, and been doing that for about 10 years. And I think we got to the point where we were tired of working on other people's projects and just wanted to start building our own projects.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my truck. I work for myself. It gives me a reason other than just because that's what they told me to do,
Yeah.
I get to make some decisions on how things go.
Oh, that's awesome. That's what it's all about right there.
And you get to like travel.
Right. And I get paid to travel.
Yeah, that's true.
The problem with it is I don't get to stop and do anything. So like I've drove past a ton of stuff, but to be able to stop and enjoy that area usually doesn't happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That kind of sucks, but that is what it is. So how long did you all smoke?
Oh,
That's a good question.
I smoked for 18 years.
I smoked for 15 years, at least a pack a day. So vaping saved our lives.
What led y'all to swap over to vaping?
So, when it first came out, it actually wasn't, it was back in the day, it was like these little e-cigs, right?
Right.
And it was being sold in malls and stuff. And so, I tried it and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is going to work. And then it didn't work. And I was like, this is not working. So I just kind of like went off and on with it. And then finally got this thing called LPR, which is an issue with acid that comes up and burns your throat. And I was like, all right, this is definitely from smoking. So finally took the final jump, and that was like 3 years ago. And that just went boom, straight into vaping, and then been doing it ever since, and just held solid with it because it doesn't have all the same effect. And you can you hold all your energy. You don't lose all your energy.
My
So I
dad
stuck with it.
My dad bought me an e-cigarette about 10 years ago, right when vaping kind of started. And I was successfully able to quit using that. And I did quit for a period of maybe a year. And then, like an idiot, I went back to smoking. Because at that time, the battery power wasn't quite there. You actually had to drip on your coils each drop. You'd get a few hits, and then you had to re-drip. And then, as time went on, the technology caught up, and, vape mods started to become a thing. That's when it really piqued my interest, because it felt like the technology was there. And then I made the switch and never went back.
Right. When did you start DIYing?
So what happened was I was using all of these different, it was getting expensive,
Right.
I'm also ketogenic, so I don't eat like sugars and stuff like that. And so I'm like, oh, there's all of these sugars in vape juice, which, by the way, I did all my research, and it's like, it doesn't affect you whatsoever. But, at the time I was like, oh, it must affect me. So I'm looking at alternatives. I'm like, oh, there's no alternatives out there. So I went and did my research and found, you know, if you make your own, you're in control of what additives you put in it. So about a year and a half, roughly 2 years ago, I just looked it up and just mixed my first batch, which tasted horrible because I didn't know what I was doing. I think I over-nicked it, you know, and then finally figured it out. And then you know, you learn the little things. You learn that, you know, and this is all from beginning, you know, and I think this is one of the biggest things for me was like people that are starting out, they don't know these things, but, you know, when you get a fresh batch of nicotine, it's a little bit stronger. It just is, you know, and so it's different than buying it in the store. And so, but that's kind of how I got into it. And you know, it's been, you know, a year and a half, 2 years maybe. And, you know, you kind of learn the best way to do your mixes. And I was just frustrated because there wasn't a lot at the time out there that really gave you the guidance to do it.
Right. What's your mixer name? Are you like, do you have anything like on all the flavors or on ELR, or are you just on your site now?
So I never put anything on all the flavors or ELR. What I did is actually from the get-go, I built my own system because, and I didn't release it. I built my own system for a long time and I used it because it was very specific to me. My problem was when I looked up all of the calculations on how to calculate the PG and VG and all that stuff. I'm a numbers person, so everything has to be very exact for me. And I wasn't seeing those numbers that I wanted to see, and it was like things seemed off. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this and figure out what the deal is. And I figured it out, and I was like, oh, you know what? Nobody's compensating for the viscosity and the temperature and all those things. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to compensate for all that. I'll just build my own tool because I can't find anything that does that. And so I did, and I've been using mine ever since. And so I never got my recipes out there. And I didn't actually release our stuff until way, way later. But so because of that, I don't have anything on, you know, ELR or all the flavors.
Gotcha. What's your mixer name on your site then?
Dextrose. It's a username I had for many, many years.
Right. Is there a story behind that name?
Yeah. So I used to be a gamer.
You're not the first one I've heard say that.
Yeah. So I used to be a gamer. Now I don't get to game very much anymore because I'm always working. But I played, you know, online MMOs for a long time, and it's funny because my initial name was like Bojangles, and it was a joke, and I was like, oh, this sounds great. I'm gonna go with it. And then someone took it, and I was like, man, I can't use my name anymore. And so I'm sitting there thinking, oh, what can I use? What can I use? And you know, I'm like, because I do keto and all that, I'm like, oh, I'll use dextrose. You know, it's like a sugar alternative kind of thing. And that was it was like a joke kind of thing. It just stuck for years.
Right. What is like your kind of profile? Like, what do you prefer? Are you a bakery guy? Are you a fruit guy? You like it all?
So it changes over time. You know, I do like it all, but lately in the last 6 months or so, it's been like sweet flavors. You know, like fruity sweet flavors. But in the beginning, like earlier on, it was more like rich, like custards and things like that. But what happened is I think I just did it too much, and then I kind of like got, oh, all right, I need something a little bit more punchy. So I went with the sweet flavors. Plus, sweet flavors for me give me more of a throat hit. You know, so, and I like that throat hit because it kind of reminds me of smoking in a way.
Right.
I'm the same way. I like fruit flavors, and I started with custards and kind of migrated to sweeter flavors. So.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. I started off with like strawberry creams and then got into custards, and I just recently got back into fruits, but I really enjoy them now, especially like you said, if they're sweet. For me, I like the sweeter fruits.
Yeah. Yeah, they can be a little tricky to make sometimes though. Like it depends, you know. Um, there's some, you know, it's like I like the candy flavors, but man, if you put too much of that stuff, it turns into like it just gets way too sweet.
Right. How many flavors do you have, do you think? Rough guess.
We bought a bunch when we started this.
I went crazy, and I have a ton of them. So I probably have probably about 150 different flavors, concentrates that I use.
Gotcha.
And then I got like gallons of PG and VG. You know, it's funny. I think my stuff actually goes bad before I get through it.
Right, right. What made you decide to put your website out there for other people to use?
It wasn't me. It was other people talking to me about it. They're like, you know, this is really cool. You know, what you have is really good. We kind of like where you're going with it. They like the calculator, you know, and it was like, why don't you release that to the public? And I was like, well, that's a great idea. The problem was I couldn't release the initial version of the software because it wasn't authenticated. It's like anybody could go in there and delete or add recipes, and it wasn't, you know, practical. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do it, but I'm going to change it and make it more practical for the end user. And so that's what kind of made me get it out there, was just other people's influence and like, hey, get this thing out there. And I think, you know, we struggled with a lot of things in the beginning. It was like, what do we do? Do we charge for it? Do we leave it free? You know, and I think ultimately we decided, we're like, you know, why put a paywall up in front of it? Why don't we just give it away? And we'll throw some affiliate marketing up there, you know, and if we get anything on affiliate marketing, that would be awesome. And so we're like, but let's just give it away. And so, but it's been great because with the traffic that we're getting in there, at times, you know, it's up and down, but when we get some good traffic in there, it's like, it's motivation to keep it rolling forward, keep pushing features out. And I think, you know, the big thing for us is like, we want to make sure we match what's out there. And then we have major plans. And I want to cater towards like the beginner mixer, and I want to cater towards the advanced mixer. But my biggest thing, and our biggest thing, is like, we want to make sure that people can get in there and know what to do, you know, and have all the resources they need, or at least links to the resources that they need. So that way they're not left questioning, and they don't have that first experience where they over nick themselves because they don't understand how much nicotine to put, or even how to put the base parameters in there. Like, what are the numbers on my nicotine bottle mean, you know, and things like that. So just the basic stuff. But that's kind of like, you know, those are the big things.
Right. And just so everybody knows, what's the name of your site?
It's Vape Dish.
Yep.
Yeah, vapedish.com. There is another Vape Dish out there. It's in Russia. They're a store. We didn't know that before we named it, but we're like, we're just going to hold on to the name. I think partially because of the abbreviation BD, we thought that was awesome.
You'll never forget that name.
Right. Right. Well, I put my first recipe on your site this morning.
Oh, great.
And I've looked at it, but I didn't look into what it takes to put a recipe up or any of that. And it didn't take me long to figure it out. So, I mean, so that's good on you all.
That's awesome. That's great.
Now, when you go to to enter your mix, if your flavoring isn't on there, the ability to add your flavor is given to the person that's putting the recipe in there. Yes. Do you all have any safeguards in there to keep people from putting like duplicate flavors in? So like one flavor isn't in there 10 times?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So right now I'm doing custom moderation. However, I'm a technology person, and we actually work with artificial intelligence in the back end in some pieces. Like if you try to upload a inappropriate image, for example, it'll actually catch it, pull it out, and send you an email and say, no, you can't do that.
Right.
So we're going to be leveraging artificial intelligence for a lot of that stuff in the back end, because for one, it's like it just does it automatically. So it'll look for duplicate recipes. That piece itself, you know, we can always check to say, hey, does a name look similar in there? One of the things that we kind of did was like we want to give the user a lot of control. So when you go to add a flavor, like at the bottom, you'll see similar flavors to yours. It pulls those up, and we were like, our hope was like, hey, if you see that and you see that flavor that you're adding in that list, you could just click that instead and use it. I have this philosophy that like I think end users, especially in this industry, you know, we're creators at heart, and I feel like creators at heart are smart enough to like go, oh, look, we see that already in there, let's use it. And just from my experience so far, like people have been really great. Like they add recipes with good images, and it's like people are really taking care, and it's been amazing because I'm like people aren't just mindlessly just adding things. I think I had one recipe, and since we've been out, that was like mindlessly added, and that was it. The rest of them have been, you know, people put a lot of dedication and heart into it. Good descriptions, good images. You know, they've been adding flavors that aren't duplicates, and we will put safeguards in place. But I do very much appreciate what I've seen so far with that, you know, with that dedication.
And I'd like to add to that while we do use AI to block certain images, an image of 2 melons is perfectly fine.
Gotcha. Now I did notice, because I had to add a couple flavors this morning. The one thing that I do like is the way that you have it set up to add your concentrates or your flavors. Like there's a format to it. Like it asks you questions, you fill it out, and then it adds it in the same format. So like one of the flavors was 1-drop peach. Okay. So we're not going to see peach 1 drop and then 1-drop peach and then 1 peach drop. You know, it's going to be formatted all the same way for the flavors, which is helpful because there's other sites that it's not that way. I mean, you could call it whatever that you want to, and it'll be in there, but nobody else will know what it is.
Yeah. That's good to hear.
Go ahead.
No, that's really good to hear. I like that experience out of it. You know, our vendor, the whole vendor's thing is separated from the flavors, and so it made sense to kind of keep the vendor in a different area, and that just it gives me more control over the back end, because what I want to do ultimately is I do want to open up metrics, like analytical data, like how many recipes was this flavor used in, how many people mixed this, and you know, so there's a lot of things we want to do going forward, and all of that stuff kind of helps us to play into that. Yeah.
Right. On those concentrates, when you add them and you ask for an image, is it okay just to leave those blank, or would you like people to put images of that actual concentrate in there?
You know, we'd like people to put images. We've talked about that, you know, and one thing that kind of came up was, you know, it's not always convenient for people to put images in, especially if they're adding a lot of flavors, right? So one thing that I considered was you can just leave it blank and then put it in there, and that's okay. But we also consider putting up placeholder images where you can just go, oh, I'll just pick this image that looks similar to kind of what the flavor is, and they can just go in there and select that as well if they don't want like no image to be on it. And we're going to be opening a completely different flavor area, so those images will show up there. So it'd be nice to have them on there, but if they don't want to add them, they don't have to. There'll be a default placeholder image.
Right. Is there a way for somebody to go back and add an image after they've already added the flavor?
Absolutely.
Not flavor. Recipe, yes. So flavor, not yet. That's going to open up. So you will have the ability to go and edit it after the fact. You'll even be able to comment on it later. Like you'll be able to leave their own comments on flavors, and then recipes that it might go with. And we have a whole new forum section that's going to be coming up here pretty soon too, where people can talk about all of the different things.
Right. Where would you all like to see this website go? I mean, what's your goal, I guess? What would be like where you want to take this?
You know, it's changed a lot from our original idea of what we wanted. And we started off by building a mixing calculator. We wanted it to be the best and easiest mixing calculator on the market. And what we've seen a lot from our users is that it's a very social community. And so the app is changing. It's not just a calculator anymore. It's the ability to have a forum and chat with each other. It's the ability to add new features that aren't out there yet. And so we're doing our best to add features that all the flavors and other places haven't even thought of yet. So one of the things we're working on that might be coming in the near future, we created a dashboard for Vape Dish. And these features are still in development, but you can earn badges now. Every time you create a recipe, it keeps track of how many recipes you have, and you can share that like on a trophy card. So when you make a recipe and publish it, your card is there and it shows how many recipes you've made to date. So there's a lot of features going, but I think our main goal is to be the best mixing tool out there and to kind of be like this central hub. It's a forum. It's a place where the community can talk amongst each other, where you can build and share recipes. And at the end of the day, the way I like to think about Vape Dish, it's kind of like your own personal notepad. You can go and create a recipe, create multiple versions of it, and it's stored forever underneath your account. And then, you know, it goes onto a global forum where people can rate your recipe, comment on it, and it kind of drives that social component.
Right. Is there a way to put a recipe on there to keep it private where like you're the only one that can see it until you're ready to release it?
We will be releasing that pretty soon. We're looking at, so one of the things that we really are getting out of this right now is feedback, you know, and Instagram has been a great resource for that. And, you know, all the feedback that we've been getting from everybody, like we have a board that we're just throwing this feedback on, and we're going to be implementing things like, because that was one of the things that people asked for. They're like, can we make private recipes? You know, we may not be ready to publish it yet, or maybe they don't want to. Maybe they want to keep it private. So we will have an area where it's just your section. You'll be able to add recipes, and you don't have to publish them if you don't want to.
And to kind of ping off of what he said, we will have a totally private recipe section, you know, for companies that may be making their own specialty recipes of juice. But as it stands right now, under the account settings, you can see all the recipes you've created in a list. They are global. Other people can find it, but you do have your section where you can see yours.
Right. Right. Now, I did notice when I was looking through the what do you all call it on there where you actually go to mix your recipe?
Mixing lab.
Mixing lab.
Yeah, okay. In the mixing lab, I did notice like there's a regular setting and then there's a tab for, does it say advanced?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was a little disappointed initially because like I was on the regular setting and you're given choices. Now, they're good choices, right? So you just got to slide the slider over to say 60 mils or 90 or 120, and you set your nick level and all that. And it's common choices, right? Mm-hmm. But like I mix in 100 milliliter batches. When I'm mixing something, I mix 100 mils at a time. So anybody that's in that boat, if you click the advanced settings, you can go in there, you can mix whatever milliliter that you want. For instance, my nicotine is 95 VG, 5 PG. So you can set that in there. So I just want to let people know that you got to just click the advanced setting and you have control over everything that way.
Yeah. And that was to support both people who are new and maybe who had never made juice, right, versus experienced people like yourself who want to go in and add custom numbers in there. And that was a big piece of feedback we got. So that actually came out in one of our last releases was the advanced tab. We actually spent all last weekend working on that piece. So.
Oh. Well, it looks like it works to me, so that's a good thing. Yeah, I forget how I heard about you all. Might have been Daytime Frank.
Oh, cool.
I heard about him talking about you all, and then I checked you out, and then I got with you. I just thought it'd be good to talk about it. You know, meet who was behind it, and see what was going on there. What kind of devices do y'all vape off of?
So I got this device. So it's just the Vapin drag, but it's you know, my wife has the nice one. I had it, and she basically, I got this for her originally, and she goes, no, I want the nice one. So I traded her, and I've been vaping off of this one ever since. You know, but I'm like, you know, like most of us out there, you know, we do everything ourselves. And I think, like, for me, you know, I do my own coils, and literally I don't have a science behind it. I take a screwdriver, or not screwdriver, but like a drill bit, and wrap wire around the drill bit 5 times. I'm like, hey, it works. It's good. But there is, you know, that's a whole other thing, make your own coils and stuff. But, you know, and so everything, you know, we do, it's like, want to make our own flavors, want to make sure we put what we have in it, that we know what's in it, right? And then wind our own coils. And, you know, when you do that, it's like, how much does vaping cost you? It costs you, like, it cost me about, I think it calculated like $20, $25 a month. Like, it's really cheap when you do everything yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
I run a Smock Alien mod, and then Chris got me into the Dead Rabbit RDAs, which are really nice. I used to be a tank guy, you know, but you hit that a few times, and then the flavor goes away. It starts to taste a little burned. But man, you drip it right on these Dead Rabbit coils, and it's always fresh.
Well, he told me Dead Rabbit. I initially heard Dead Rabbit. I'm like, I'm not gonna smoke on a Dead Rabbit. And then I tried it, and I was like, oh man, you can like wind this thing from the top, and this thing's phenomenal. So then I started going to the RDAs because they were easy. But I'll tell you what, when you're driving and you're like, oh, I got a drip, it's a little bit of a pain in the neck, you know. So it depends on what you're doing.
That's why I'm on these Free Max tanks.
Yeah.
The Free Max mesh tanks. I've got 3 of them at all times going.
That's a good idea.
And then when I'm not driving, I've got a couple drippers and that I use, but which I get good flavors off the RDAs, the Dead Rabbits and the Drop Deads and the Drops. I like all of them, but just for sitting around, like just casually vaping, I love the flavor off these tanks. Something with the mesh tanks I really like. Now, previous tanks I wasn't real impressed with, but I really didn't have a choice. I mean, like you were saying, you can't drive 80,000 pounds down the road and pay attention to dripping.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you can, but you shouldn't.
You should. There's the key there. Especially in the winter when you're like driving in snow, and you know, it's dangerous. But
all right. Well, anything else that y'all want to get out there before we get off of here?
Yeah. So I have one thing that I'd like to just kind of bring out there. You know, we want, like, the more feedback we get, the better. Like, positive, negative, it doesn't matter. Like, what we want, like, ultimately is to build what the user needs, right? And I think that's really where I want to go with this. Because I'm a software architect, I've been a software architect for a long time. I have the technical knowledge to build anything that possibly exists. There isn't any limitation to what we can do. We don't use canned sites. We build everything from scratch. Everything you see there is like literally from scratch. There isn't anything templated or anything like that. So we have the power to do anything. And that's what we want. So that's what we want to hear from the community, what they need. So that way we can get it in there. It's not instant, again, because we do it from scratch, you know, so things do take time. But what we'd like to see within the next 6 months is every feature that's useful that everybody needs. So that would be I think it's my biggest take on it. Just because we have the ability to do so, I want to hit it running, and I want to throw everything we can out there on it.
We're building this thing for the community, so any feedback that we get, we are going to immediately try and incorporate that. New features that we have on the horizon are the badge system. We have our forum almost complete. We're working on authentication right now. So when you sign in at Vape and you go to the forum, it automatically signs you in on the forum. That's our final piece there, but the forum actually already exists. We're even working on a live chat feature. And another thing is with our affiliates, when you go to a recipe, a click to add all those recipes to a cart system. The challenging piece there has been, you know, what if an affiliate doesn't have a particular flavor? Who do we send them to? So we're going to continue to try and reach out and keep working with the community to get more affiliates that have more flavors. And yeah, we're working hard. It's the two of us, and we'll keep pushing forward. We've been pulling 100-hour weeks between our job and Baitfish for about the last month and a half. So we're going to keep going to get all this stuff in for everyone.
Okay, and what's the best way for people to leave feedback for you all?
So we're going to be, right now it's been through Instagram, but we're going to be opening up forums by the end of this weekend. Yeah, sometime by Sunday. And it's going to be forums.vapedish.com. It currently does exist. Like, people can go to it, but the problem is that there's no way to log in. So that's going to be up by this weekend, and they'll be able to log in with their normal Vape Dish account, and then they can just say, click a button that says go to Vape Dish. That will be on our homepage. It'll be up there. And then they can go there. They'll be logged in, and they can just leave feedback. And what we're going to do is we're going to put something together where people can see what's been implemented. And what we'd really like to do is really give people credit for the feedback they give, because I would like, you know, for everyone that leaves that, you know, that great feedback, I do want to make sure they get credited for that stuff. So we got to figure out a good strategy for that as well.
Yeah. And to everyone who has been a part of it, has been adding recipes, we want to say thank you to all you guys, because you are our first users, and we'll make sure to take care of you and take all your feedback seriously. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all sitting down and talking this morning.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's what was it, 9? It was 9 o'clock for us.
Yeah.
I was like waking up. I got my coffee. It was good. You know, usually we're up at like 6 a.m. We just happened last night. We had a couple of drinks, and we did. Well, every once in a while we have fun.
You got to relax after all the work.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, this is my recipe here, making cream. Now, pretty easy to put a recipe in. It's not hard to figure out. No, so 6% one-drop peach, 2% Armenia. Here's all the flavors that are in the recipe. Now, if you click this tab here, so if you go on there and you see a recipe that you want to mix, you click the building recipe. Okay, and this is what comes up. Now, you have all your choices here, right? So here you can go to 60 mil. You can go to 120 mil. This is your PG-VG ratio. Your nicotine, your strength of nicotine, how much PG and VG is in your nicotine. Now, if you notice here, right, it's like 100% PG. It goes in quantities of 10s. Okay, same thing up here when you want your batch size. Okay, you only get a choice of 30, 60, or 120, or do you? Okay, if you go back up to the top up here, you can see right here it says basic. If you tab down to the advanced setting, now then I can go in here and I can make a 50 milliliter batch if I want to. I can set custom PG-VG ratios. Same thing on my nicotine. For instance, I have 100 milligram nicotine, right? But my nicotine is 5 PG and 95 VG. Okay. This asks for how many milligrams that you want in it. So you can pretty much customize this, okay, to however that you want it to be. And then over here, it'll give you the amounts that you add in grams or milliliters. Okay, so I just want to show you all. At first I didn't notice this advanced or basic setting. Uh, you know, this basic setting, it's really nice if you're doing things that fit into these categories, but you do have the option to go over and change it. Pretty easy to use, nice site. So y'all go check it out. Create a free account, put your recipes over here, browse through what's over here. You might find something new to mix. You never know. So that's what I got. As always, stay safe, keep on trucking, and keep on vaping.